as you all know, that there are a lot of people here who understand PM-WANI, but hardware plays a very important role. Now, there have been a lot of misconceptions about hardware to be used on PM-WANI. So our answer to that is you can use a hardware which is providing what is called an hotspot services on the PM-WANI application or for PM-WANI projects. What is this hotspot? Hotspot is basically a concept where users are any end user is first blocked from internet access before they get onto the internet, and there is some sort of authentication. The authentication can be implemented through various means. So PM-WANI has defined a framework. It is called a token-based framework that is used for authentication. In the past, as Mr. Sai has mentioned, there was a captive portal-based authentication, and there are new authentication schemes that are coming up. We are part of several initiatives worldwide. One is called Wireless Broadband Alliance, which is kind of promoting a new system called open roaming, which is going to be based on certificates and a few other things. As you can see that the authentication can be anything, but the hardware has to do one of the most important functions of ensuring that the right kind of users connect to only the persons who are authorized to use the PM-WANI network, right? So in terms of the hardware, so it means that the hotspot functionality needs to be provided by the OEMs who supply for PM-WANI hardware, and there are a lot of different OEMs. Some of them, like us, we are Indian-made Indian OEMs, and obviously there are international OEMs. Likes of Cisco, Aruba, Ruckus, Cambium, you name it. There is a big list of hardware vendors who provide these functionality. Now, one of the challenges with this third-party hardware is basically that these guys, they don't have, if you go to Cisco, Aruba, they don't have a PM-WANI enabled access point or something like that, right? It is all that has to be enabled by a tech company, a company like us who understands this framework and has a compatible system. So although you can use a Cisco or a Ruckus access point, you have to ensure that the correct software stack is used so that you will enable PM-WANI on these networks. That's number one. On the other hand, then there are companies like us and a few others in India, like CDOT, for example. We offer a full integrated end-to-end solution so that the service providers who are listening on this particular call, they don't have to worry about doing all these sorts of integration. So that's one point. So hardware, to answer some of the questions that have been raised, any hardware that supports the captive portal or I will not call captive portal, but authentication functionality can be used for PM-WANI. Now, to address your second part of your question about security, which is very paramount for any user, I think it's quite natural for people to not use their credit cards and so on. It's important that the PM-WANI framework provides maybe cashless or credit card-less transactions. So there are now wallet systems coming into, UPI-based systems are there, which are primarily going to get used, according to me. Secondly, there is another option which is now prevalent in Africa, where we are doing a lot of projects. Again, public Wi-Fi projects, where it's called a credit-based system. So where actual transactions are done in cash with the PDO, but there is no credit card, there is no personal information or data that is being processed. It is you pay something to the PDO, and the PDO will recharge your account through a mobile app called reseller app. So there are multiple avenues through which you can get protected. Now, the other important aspect of it, what happens to my data? Right, the data that gets collected, you register with your mobile number, your name, and so on. So for that, you need to work with a reliable company who understands this framework and has the history of maintaining and building this kind of system. So if tomorrow any small startup or any college grad says, okay, I'm going to build a PM-WANI system, you need to really look at where the data is residing, how secure is the data. So all the operators who are listening on this session, you will have to ensure that you work with the companies who understand this framework, understand what is public Wi-Fi, and are able to secure your data.